Hello, welcome to the newest episode of Starcraft Observer. My name is Ben, aka Lignar. With me, I have Tyler Colgar. Zorn's MIA this week. I'm not sure quite where he's at. How you doing this week, Tyler?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I can't complain. It's only Tuesday, so lots of week left. So
Yeah.
So you probably can tell here, Tyler's moved. Got a better quality here with the webcam. You're actually in your gaming house now, right?
I am.
Ah,
I've been playing a lot of Counter-Strike recently.
I'm actually gonna have to buy Counter-Strike so I can jump in there with you guys and get my ass kicked, or carried, whichever way you want to.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on which team you draw.
Right. So, well, with Zorn not here this week, we've got the replacement up here with Doug from Bob and Doug. Ask Your Parents if you're not familiar. It's an old classic. But anyway, why don't we go ahead and get started? You got the first one here, so why don't you go with it, man?
All right. We've discussed it in previous episodes, and it has finally come true. Stephano has joined EG. And it all started with a little debut of this video called Genius is Falling. It's absolutely hilarious. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Talk about the EG curse and how as soon as a player joins EG that their career just goes in the shitter. But yeah, it's official. He's joined, and you know what? It's not like any of us didn't expect it. It's just
Right.
we were waiting.
Yeah, and honestly, like when I was putting the show notes together earlier this week, I put in the show notes. I'm like, oh, it's official. Stephano does it, and the link I provided apparently it wasn't official. It's like the video was the official announcement, right?
Yep.
I mean, and because when I first put the link in there, I'm like, oh, it's official. I mean, you know, like you said, we all saw it coming anyway. So, but yeah, the video is freaking hilarious. I found myself laughing out loud when they were doing the Thorzane bit, actually, because they're like, oh, he doesn't win 100% of his matches since he joined EG. You know, it's just
That he's clearly awful.
right. He's clearly cursed. But the funny thing is, though, they didn't talk about the ones that kind of bring the curse up. Like they didn't talk about Hug, who
He still won an MLG title under EG.
I know,
which is better than what he's, you know, it matched what he's done. He's been doing,
Right.
well, not recently, but he did well in Korea. I think Huck's career doesn't accurately reflect the whole EG curse thing because
agree.
I don't know if he's put as much effort into it recently as he did in the past. But that's personal opinion, and you can never really back
Right.
it up with facts. So.
Yeah, and you know, and I'm one of those like, I kind of want to see Huck. You know, I know I always say this whenever a new event comes up and I see Huck's in it, I want to see him do well, just because I hate to see somebody do so well and then, I mean, the dude's won 2 MLGs. You know, I hate to see anybody do well and then just completely, just not be able to perform after basically since he won that second MLG, he hasn't done really anything, has he? I mean, I know he's done well at DreamHack. He didn't do horribly, but he didn't
Home
win
Story
it.
Cup.
Home Story, he did well.
Yeah, he was the first player to beat Koreans twice.
Right. But it's just, you know, it's just one of those things that, and Thorzane, and actually Thorzane, some people might say with him that he's fallen under the EG curse, but he had tonsillitis at the last MLG, and because he was sick, and the hurricane, well, they call them typhoons over there, but the typhoon that was rolling into Seoul, he basically had to forfeit his Code A matches, so he's Code B now. And I've been following him on Twitter. He's not planning on going back to Korea for a while, and I don't think he'll have any trouble getting back into Code A. I think he'll qualify for Code A at least. Hopefully he continues to do well. But I know like his first appearance in GSL was a day after MLG Anaheim, and he was jet lagged, and then he was leaving there and going back to where was DreamHack Summer? Was it Stockholm?
I believe so.
Yeah. So I mean, like he was going there for like he left Monday morning from Anaheim to play Tuesday evening in Korea, which, by the way, Monday morning in Anaheim is Monday evening in Korea. So he, you know, didn't have any sleep basically, and then was leaving right after his GSL match to go to Stockholm to play in DreamHack, and he did well in Stockholm, not as well as he had done previously because he had won it before, but you know he did well.
A lot of people forget about the Nordic Championships where he beat everyone for the World
Right.
Championship Series. That was after he joined EG.
Right, and with the WCS, I mean, I don't think we have it in our show notes, but the WCS is coming up. He's in it, and unfortunately, and ironically, unfortunately for both of them, him and Stephano, I think, are in the same bracket, and now they're teammates.
It is unfortunate. But
But it is what
It's
it is.
unfortunate for anybody if they ever get faced against Stephano. But
Right. Well, and I would say that, and I would also say it's unfortunate for almost anybody if they get faced against, if they get put up against Thorzane. I mean, I wouldn't, I would probably put Stephano above Thorzane, but I wouldn't want to play him, obviously, because
well, Stephano's really known for his ZVP. That he just says that Protoss are underpowered and they need to be buffed. Which normally players don't say that about other races. Usually they complain about them, but. His TVZ's it's Stephano, of course. His TVZ's good, his ZVZ's good, but Thorzane could beat him. I was going to say could easily, but it's never easy when you're playing Stephano.
right. And I could say it the other, you could just swap those numbers around. Say it's never easy when you're playing Thorzane. I mean, unless you cheese him. He's one of those guys that his typical build you can cheese him and get away with it because he's got that slow, methodical, that build that he's going to out macro you and then he's going to build the death ball and go. But I don't know. We'll see. I don't know that we're going to be able to watch the WCS here in the States. For Europe, the EU WCS, and besides the time difference, would probably be insane anyway. But yeah, so it's official. If you get a chance to watch the video, do watch the video for what they call it,
Geniuses falling.
Falling. I was trying to
making fun of Liquid Rising.
Right, but I was thinking sinking. So I was like, but I knew that wasn't right. But moving on, the next one is something that kind of ties back to episode 1, where we talked about maybe, esports in the Olympics. The folks over at DreamHack and Twitch are getting together on September 21st. They're having the first ever esports congress in Valencia, and they've invited quite a few people here. I mean, you've got Alex Garfield, Alex Lim. I'm not going to try to pronounce Alexander Kokanovsky, David Ting. I mean, tons of people from the esports community. And basically, I think my understanding of it is they're planning on getting together and making that international body, that international governing body that esports would need in order for the IOC to accept them into the Olympics. I'm not saying that's what these people's goal is, but it's kind of ironic that came up a month or so ago, and then all of a sudden somebody's trying to start this international body, right? I mean, it kind of makes you wonder.
Yeah, now that we mentioned the whole Olympics thing, at first when I read this, I was more under the impression that it was just going to be, talk about where esports are headed, that kind of stuff, what they can do, set certain rules and stuff like that. And I think it's going to be good that they, really get a governing body set up. But if it had been just about how esports are doing as a whole, it's been discussed at the MIT Sloan Sports Conference, which is a huge sports conference for professional sports in the U.S. And Sundance D. Giovanni and Alex Garfield and Day9 were invited to that, and they discussed it. And pretty much all professional sports owners realized that esports was going to surpass them in the very near future. So I think it's good, and we definitely need things like this. I wish I was invited, but whatever. See how it is.
Well, dude, I wish I was invited too. I mean, shit, who wouldn't want to go to Valencia for just?
Well, apparently you can petition to join.
Okay, but, yeah, I'll get right on top of that.
Yeah. Let me call up all my bros and see if they'll support me.
But no, I mean, maybe that is, but this could also be, being as this the first ever, I mean, this could be the starting of that international body, right? I mean, and it could just be this international conversation, between all of these organizers. Like, I don't see anybody from MLG there that's on this list.
Yeah,
Sundance is there. Yeah, he's near the bottom. But CBS Interactive, which is CNET, by the way, those of you who don't know. Twitch is going to be there. Owned is going to be there. So you've got people who are actually competing who are going to be there. They're actual competitors. So it's kind of interesting.
Well, that's the thing with esports. Everyone needs to be on the same page if you want us to grow. There can't be, of course, it's always good to have healthy competition, but you need to be able to support each other so that we can have esports as a whole. And, it's funny that my whole trip to this whole gaming house and everything, when I was in the airport at the bar talking to people about what I do and what they do, and they asked me all these questions about esports, and I was just like, yeah, they didn't really know it existed. We've had this discussion before, and I have this discussion like every week with at least one person. But in the United States, people don't know it exists, and that's good that they're getting this this conference set up and getting together and talking about esports, because we really need to. It's still in its infancy stage. It's still growing, but we need to, we need to start with letting everybody know that it exists.
Yeah,
And I think this might be a good representation.
yeah, I fully agree. And unfortunately for the U.S. audience, it's in Valencia. It's not in, it's not in. And honestly, places like Dallas, Dallas as a whole, they don't know. But come November, there's going to be a fair amount of people in Dallas who are at least aware. Anaheim, they're pretty aware. I mean, especially not only just MLG Anaheim, but BlizzCon. The different cities.
Providence made a Major League Gaming Day. They announced November 18th or whatever as Major League Gaming Day.
I'm sure there's several folks in Raleigh that are aware, that kind of stuff. But if they were to hold something like this in, say, I don't know, Kansas City, where nobody's going to go for an esports tournament, which means why would they ever hold the
Kansas City? God, who would want to go there?
Actually, I'm going there in November. But anyway,
who would willingly want to go there?
That's true.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, if they held it somewhere like there and made a big deal out of it in the local media, just to get people aware. I mean, because there's local colleges. I mean, there's college-age people, which is the prime demographic for esports. That's the prime fan base, is that age group. But there's tons of colleges in that area and that kind of stuff. So that's how you need to get it to grow in America anyway. I mean, it makes sense that the folks at DreamHack are hosting this. It makes total sense.
Of course, they do so much for esports,
Right.
And it's very, when you look at the order of importance in esports in any culture, obviously Korea's number one. You have a professional esports player walk down the street and they know who they are. The fangirls are swooning. People are asking for autographs, that kind of stuff. In Europe, they acknowledge, if it's a big player like, let's say, Karn from Fnatic, they acknowledge that he exists. Now, maybe people may not recognize him on the street, but they know he exists. In the U.S.,
they don't know.
Nada. There's nothing.
No, and that's. I don't know. I think it's partly it's a cultural difference between the U.S. and everywhere, really. And I might even go so far as to say North America. I don't know so much about Canada and Mexico when it comes to that thing, when that sort of thing. But I would say the U.S. especially, I feel like I could say that's just a cultural difference. Where, I mean, for prime example, like how many people just speaking of the Olympics, represent the U.S. in Olympics and track and field, but we don't know who they are unless it's the Olympics. They live in Europe. They work in Europe. They play. They compete in their sport in Europe. And okay, so it's not like soccer over there. It's not like some of the bigger sports, but people do recognize them. People do know who they are. So maybe, I mean, because here, if it's not football or honestly football, I mean, baseball, basketball, I mean, really, in my experience, I live in an NBA city, man, and I kind of forgot we had a team. To be honest with you.
Well, unless you're from Wisconsin, because no one forgets about the Packers.
Well, I'm talking about basketball.
Oh, basketball. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thought you were talking about
No,
sports.
I'm not talking about football. No, I'm talking about sports. That's good. That's a good one. But yeah, I mean, I forgot we had it. Like when I first moved here, and the thing is, I don't care about basketball either. So, but
no one does. But
right, that's kind of my point. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on to. Let's skip over the GSL one. Let's go on to the Season 8 lock. And they're bringing out some map changes. They've locked Season 8. It's already happened. And Season 9 starts, I think,
today.
Today, yeah. I need to go play my placement matches so I can end up in bronze again. I really wish Zoran was here because I was kind of curious how he feels about it. I'm kind of curious how you feel about it as a team manager, team CEO, where... rather than just being grouped with a bunch of other bronze or silvers or golds or whatever and being ranked among them, now if you're in the top slot in bronze or whatever league you're in, you are the top 1% of that group.
I absolutely love it. It helps with evaluation. I don't need to sit here and guess like, well, he's a rank 56 Masters, but he plays like he's top Masters. No. If you're in the top percentage... you're in the top percentage, and it makes it so much easier for evaluation. It makes me know, how soon they are, or where their play levels at, how soon they're going to get promoted. I mean, all of our players are masters, but the Grandmaster is going to be released in a week. I'm going to see where they're at. We have plenty of shoe-ins for Grandmaster if they put the time in. It's not going to be an issue if they put the time in. So I love it. I absolutely love the changes. Whereas the map pool I've heard is, or the new maps that they're adding, I've heard are mediocre at best. But
Yeah, and I kind of think maybe the map changed. Well, honestly, as a casual player, I'm not really sure how much I like it because I know I'm a casual player, right? So I look at the rankings and, like, I really don't. I play the ladder for fun. I don't play it for bragging rights. I don't play it for anything like that. I play it because I have fun doing it. So I'm kind of like, I'm not sure that I want to know how bad I actually suck. You know what I mean? It's like I can play now, and I'm at the top of bronze, and I just don't play enough to get up, out of bronze, because I only play maybe 3 hours a week, if that. But so, like, I get now, it's like I'm not gonna probably hang around the top of my league anymore, and now I haven't been because I went like a month and a half without playing. And I'm nowhere near the top now, but
well, I think it's going to kind of base on time played again. Still, I mean, it's going to be a better gauge for people who are competitive about it and not casual, because you're not going to have a player that let's say they play casually in their masters, and then all of a sudden they play their placement match and they're it's not going to gauge them off of one match. If they win one match, they're not going to be in the top 1%. So I think it's I think it's going to still be the same for casual players. I think it's a good gauge for competitive.
yeah, I mean, you're probably right. I guess it's just kind of a wait and see. But the map pool change is I'm getting a little feedback here. I don't. This link doesn't even list the map pool change. That's awesome. But I think they took out one of the maps, and they added one more. That's pretty sad. I feel ill prepared now. I had this link, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's the link I need.
Oh well.
But yeah, so and see, again, I kind of wish Zoran was here, because this is really one that I would want a player's perspective from. I mean, I want I would like to hear that and I did hear it, the team manager's perspective. I'm kind of curious what other casuals think, to be honest with you, because I mean, regardless of what a lot of people want to say in the forums or whatever, 99% of us are casual players. No matter how good you are, you're still a casual player. If you're not doing it for a living, guess what? You're a casual.
Well, you'd be competitive. You're not pro.
True.
Some of our players are pro, and some of them are competitive.
Fair enough.
So.
Fair enough. I'll give you that. So let's go ahead and keep on moving. I mean, we're probably going to have a short episode unless we want to cover all of these, and I'm fine with that. But I was kind of the nature of the beast when we're down a guy, right?
Yep.
So the next one we have, I think, is yours with the TSL? MCSL.
Yeah, MCSL. We have 4 new teams being added. Roxas, who I believe, who do they have? Nurchio? Or who did they have that was a well-known player?
God, you put your own name next to this in the show notes, and you're asking me questions. I think you're right.
Yeah,
though.
you're supposed to back me up. We're supposed to accent each other, but whatever.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a player like that. And of course, it's probably Zerg, because any good player is Zerg, because they're overpowered, and then their skill just makes them more. Yeah. Anyway, Roxas, European league, or European organization. You got Root Gaming, which finally it's not really surprising. I figured they would have been in any other league before, but since they had disbanded, it kind of put a little damper on that. But now that they're reformed with their players and Vibe's doing well, it's no surprise that they're in there. Quantic Gaming, of course, with the pickup of Vile, they've got a bunch of good players, so it's no surprise there either. And Team Acer, who, other than Scarlet, I have no clue who's on Acer, to be honest. I haven't really heard anything.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah.
So
there really isn't anybody that's, at least North America, there isn't anybody. They've got some Europeans, I think, and some Asians. But I looked at their roster. I'm like, okay, I know Scarlet.
Nurchio left them and joined, or Nurchio left Roxas, I believe. Hold on. Since we have a shitload of time anyway, I'm going to look this up. Nurchio, blah, 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 blah.
But okay, so I guess the story here though is that the MCSL was formerly 4 teams, right? Or no, formerly 8 teams. They've added 4, right?
I believe so.
So I
Why
mean,
you asking me questions even though it was mine? You're supposed to know. I assume I know everything and not ask questions.
well, no, I'm asking on behalf of the viewer. So yeah, it looks like no, but they've got the. I'm confused because they've got CLG, Quantic, EG. I mean, they've got complexity and everything. Then the new teams were added were Roxas, Game Root, Quantic, and Team Acer. So no, they have a total of 8 teams competing. I guess. The announcement's kind of confusing, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because, up at the top, when they say new teams added, and they show Root, and then at the bottom of the graphic, they say teams competing, they don't show Root's graphic. They don't even list Root. So it's pretty confusing, really. If you're looking at this on TL, it's really confusing. But it starts. It didn't even say when it starts. It says Monday through Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern.
They had their first match yesterday. I believe it started with Root versus EG, and Root won.
Oh, wow. Well, that's not really surprising, now that I think about it.
Well, I actually, and to be honest, I don't know if Stephano played.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I only caught a glimpse of it, and to be honest, I saw a bunch of people saying Root won in the chat on the side, so, take that with a grain of salt.
Right.
People like to troll a lot, but I'm assuming that's what happened, so.
Well, I mean, we can look at it right now, except they don't have it listed on Team Liquid under the events. That's awesome. If you go to teamliquid.net/events, this doesn't even show up, so you can't look at the bracket.
Oh, well.
Oh, well. Yeah. GG.
On to the next one.
Yeah, let's move on to, I guess this is another one is yours.
You got the PhD Starcraft 2 Heart of the Swarm Invitational #1 with a $2,000 prize pool, and there's supposed to be 8 players and 2 to be announced, but I believe it's starting in like 30 minutes.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah, it's starting in about 30 minutes. So, and they haven't announced the other 2 players, but in it are White Raw, Cats from Root Gaming, Destiny, Suppy, Kawhi Rice, and DeMuslim, and then 2 to be announced players. There's nothing said about any of them, but it's got the newer maps, and it's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I'm hoping they put VODs up, really, because and actually it's the way it's played out is they're doing their round of 8 in 36 minutes. The semifinals and grand finals are tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific, which seems like a weird time, but whatever. Of the 6 we know, who would you pick to win it? I mean, considering that we don't, like, if you just had these 6 to pick from, who would you pick?
That is so hard because all of these players are good players outright, but none of them have really accomplished anything in the recent, or I guess, recently or in the past. I mean, White Raw, of course, is well known, but that's a tough one. If I had to pick one,
don't think too hard, man.
It's so hard. I guess one of the EG players, either Suppy or DeMuslim, but
I was going to go Suppy because he did. That
was going to be my first guess.
He came in, I think,
I haven't
3rd.
seen enough of him.
Well, but yeah, he came in like 3rd or 4th in the North America WCS. I mean, no.
I wish they'd announced the 2 other players, but
yeah, and it could just be like we were talking about this before the show, and it could just be that graphic has never got updated and they have announced it, but they don't even see this is kind of an annoyance for me as a spectator and as a fan. It's like, give me a link to your actual site. Don't give me I'm not saying like give me text that I need to type in. Give me a link. Give me something to click. Because yeah, I can watch live, but I got to type in twitch.tv/paynuser. I want a link. I want to click on that shit. I don't want to type it. Give me a link to a website where you're actually going to show me a bracket and your other 2 players at 30 minutes before you start the event. And it's just kind of and I know it sounds like maybe I'm on a soapbox, and maybe I need to go get a little soapbox and bring it over here and set it up. But this, to me, as a spectator, this is part of the problem with esports in North America. And I know we've kind of talked about over, I think, every episode we've done so far. We've talked about esports is bigger in Korea than it is in North America. Esports is bigger in Europe than it is in North America. And I think the people who organize the events in those regions do a better job of organizing the event, publicizing the event, and they just seem like
they just had so much more experience. Well, that's one of the reasons, I think.
That's one of the reasons.
Partially.
Right, but like I can sit here and I went off on the show that we used to have as our anchor show for eSportsNet, the Pro Gaming Weekly, where I covered that. I went off on MLG, and luckily, and I would like to take credit, but I know it wasn't because of me. You know, I look at like Major League Baseball, they can tell me to basically the minute when like 1,600 games are going to start. You know, in February, they can tell me that, and it starts in April, and it goes through September, and they can tell me to the minute when 1,600 different games are going to start, and MLG can't tell me one event in advance what city they're going to be in. Now, I understand they're negotiating with venues and that kind of stuff, but it just seems like, even for an organization like MLG, it seems like it's unorganized. Now, lately, they've done better. They've done way better at that. Like, we knew the MLG for fall was going to be in Dallas. We knew it was going to be after Anaheim. I think right before Anaheim, they announced Raleigh and Dallas. So, I mean, good on MLG, you know, that we're starting to get that. But in North America, especially in the States, we kind of have we want to know what to expect when we tune into an event. We kind of know, we want to know what we're going to be watching. And that's kind of the problem in North America, I think, as a spectator, is I don't know who's going to be there when I sign into an event. When I sign in to watch a streamer, like, I mean, that's part of the reason that GSL does so well, is because they've got a bracket. It's well defined. I know who I'm going to be watching. Yeah, and maybe I don't know who's going to be playing in the third game because I got to watch the first two, and the winners and losers play each other and that kind of stuff. But I think I don't know. It's just, I didn't really want to go on a rant, but I look at this kind of stuff and it's like they're kind of half-assing it when I look at this graphic.
Well, part of MLG, this is completely different from this tournament we just talked about, but part of MLG's big problem is they think that the user or the stream watcher at home wants to be interactive and wants to vote on who they're going to be watching. And yeah, it's cool kind of, but it's just causing more problems when you don't just set up a bracket and people will be excited just to watch the games. It's what they're paying for anyway. I mean, like, that's the big problem. It's like you don't know who's going to be playing like the day except for like the day before, because they had to wait for all these polls to come in to see who they wanted to watch. So,
right. Well, and the other thing is with MLG in particular, and actually even I don't even want to say it this way, but the lesser streams, right? I'll even throw it out like the Red Bull event that's traveling around. They do a better job of presenting their product than MLG, in my opinion. When I'm watching a stream, there's a ton of dead time. Tons of dead time when I'm watching MLG. And if I've paid for it, I didn't pay to watch your MLG logo. And I think, and I know a lot of it, and I'm not bashing MLG. I'm just saying, as a consumer, I didn't pay to see this. I didn't pay. You show me an interview, show me anything, show me highlights from the upcoming players' previous matches or the last time they played each other, whatever. And I think that's part of what esports in North America anyway is missing. Maybe it's because, to go back to a culture thing, maybe we are just too impatient as a culture. And I'll even put myself under that label. You know, I don't want to sit there and just watch. I'd rather watch commercials than a static screen.
It's true. Well, there's so many things that we could just go on.
Oh, like, yeah, I know.
You ranting about how the U.S. is horrible at supporting esports.
Yeah, we suck.
I think the whole you got to be the whole nerd thing. You know, like nerds are so not cool and shit. Although it's kind of changing. It's a new time, but that's a big thing that's also plaguing esports in North America at least.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think that's probably part of it too. But
well, like I said, there's a bunch of things that attribute to that, but we could go on for a long time.
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, if anybody's ever heard me get on a soapbox and rant, yeah, I could have a whole episode of this show of me just ranting. So I won't bore people with that because even though I might be passionate about it, I know most other people are going to be like, "Shut up, dude." So, well, let's go ahead and talk some about some of the other things here. I know you don't really follow GSL too much, but I kind of wanted to talk about what we've seen so far in GSL and what's coming up in GSL. Like, we kind of talked
I'll
about...
definitely talk about brackets and stuff like that, things that have happened.
Right, yeah. So since we recorded last week, I don't know if we talked about Group A last week. I don't remember.
I don't think we did.
I don't think so either. And I think we kind of...
Not for Code S. It was up and downs that we were talking about.
And I think we kind of picked some. And there's nothing that's really surprising until you get to Group C.
Oh, absolutely. And I was going to say the same thing, too. I was excited to talk about that.
MC didn't progress. I mean, he's Code A now. And Jaedong, I can't really say surprising. I really can't. And I'm not...
I'm actually kind of surprised based on how all the other Brood War players are performing, that Jaedong, this extremely talented player from Brood War, is not doing as well as his...
Well, I guess what I was going to say is I'm not surprised that he's Code A now. I'm surprised that he only won one map. That's what I'm surprised about.
Yeah.
I didn't expect him to advance on to Code S. I didn't expect him to not either. I just really didn't know. But he only won one map. And having watched those, and again, I wish Zoran was here because I would like to have some perspective of somebody who's better versed at actually playing the game than me. But as a spectator, I'm watching it and thinking, if he had done just one or two things differently, he would have won. It's like he had the game won and he just didn't take it.
Of course he did. He's Zerg.
So
you have the game won from the get-go.
No, fair enough. But I mean, there's just so many things. Like he had the game and he didn't take it. Like when he lost to I'm trying to find it out. Yeah, when he lost to MC, he got 2-0'd by MC, and I think in the first, I don't remember now. It was last week that I watched it, but in the first or second game, like he had it. He had it. He just didn't move in and make the kill. And a lot of it, from what Tasteless and Artosis were saying, and I don't know Brood War nearly enough to make that transition mentally, but they were saying in Brood War, the position he's in is a losing position, but in StarCraft 2, it's a winning position. And he just apparently, I'm sure he knows that. Like when he goes back and watches a replay or whatever, I'm sure he knows that, and it should be obvious to him. But I think it's just he's been so many years playing Brood War that the second nature kicked in, and I think it's what it is. And he played well. I'm just surprised he only took one map. That was a surprising thing for me. But then you go down to Group D. Rain looked awesome. And it's not the same Rain if you've been watching GSL. It's not the same Rain. This is the Rain out of Kespa, not the Rain that you've seen in GSL in seasons past.
Fnatic.
Right. And actually, has Fnatic Rain been in the GSL? I'm sure he has. I'm sure he has at least once. But regardless, it's not the Rain.
Gotta ask.
Yeah, if you've been watching Wings of Liberty, you've been watching StarCraft 2, it's not the Rain that you're used to. This is the Rain out of SK Telcom 1. He played really well. Knocking out CreatorPrime, which is Bune does well in the team leagues. He doesn't seem to do well in the individuals, which is weird.
Yeah, going 2-5 is not.
It's not horrible, but
yeah,
it's weird that he does well in the team leagues. I mean, he usually does. Him and Marine King are like their stars in the team league, and Creator. Those are like their three top guys in GSTL. But Genius, went 2-4. I didn't expect Genius to do that poorly either, but that was kind of one of those weird groups. Group E, I hate that I looked at because I haven't watched yet. But I don't... MMA. Code A now.
Mao's Mana, who everyone thought would do extremely well, went 1-4.
But that's a hell of a group, though, with Teja, MVP, MMA, and Mana. That's a hell of a group. And
yeah, you can't blame them, but
that's just one of those.
Same time.
Yeah, that's one of those groups that were like, well, two guys aren't going to advance, and two of them are going to be surprising to some people. But this next group coming up, I don't know. I think Naniwa and probably Squirtle got that one. I mean, I maybe Sniper, but Naniwa and Squirtle they're fine.
It's not showing for you who won.
No, and I don't want to know because I definitely want to watch these.
Because I see.
Yeah, don't fuck it up for me.
So who did you think was going to win?
I want to say Naniwa and Squirtle, and don't tell me if I'm anywhere near close, because I want to watch them.
Okay. What about Group G?
Group G, I'm saying Nestea, and you got to go with Nestea, right? I mean, even Zerg or not, he's Nestea. And I don't know.
Just because I'm a fan of EG, I'm going to say JYP.
I was going to say this. I was going to say the same thing. And then for H, I'm going with DRG, and actually, I'm going to go with Polt.
Yeah, same here. He does extremely well.
Yeah.
Well, actually, mostly does good in foreign tournaments. But
Polt is awesome, and DRG is, well, again, he's one of those guys outside of the fact that he's DRG. He's good.
Yeah. He was good before Zerg were over.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to how it's going to play out this week. I'm really looking forward to the next few weeks of GSL just to get everything running. But I think next week they're actually going back and doing some of the Code A qualifiers for, because last I looked, they didn't have the Code A bracket filled in. Yeah, they still don't have the Code A bracket filled in, so they still need to finish the Code A qualifiers. So it's going to be 2 weeks or so till we get Code S play again, which is weird, really. I don't understand how they do that. I would want to have Code A filled in so I can just keep it going. But I know they're doing a TV show, not a tournament. That's their primary focus, is they're trying to do a TV show. So I get that. But yeah, so we're pretty much on the same page on Code S, right? Like I know. Don't tell me what. Oh, oh my God! It updated.
Right? You saw it now?
Yes. I was half right.
Well, yeah, except when you thought that Naniwa was going to win, you didn't know he was going to freaking tank.
He did tank. So much for being independent, huh, man?
He did so bad.
Yeah. All right, so I guess
I'm surprised. You know, Hart and Sniper had the same set score, but of course Hart won his set.
Right.
So he's advancing, and Squirtle, who that's not a surprise. So
not at all. Not especially after what he's done the last couple seasons in GSL.
But isn't that the first season Naniwa's not in Code S in the past? Was it 2? Whatever.
At least, yeah. I think he's been in top 8. I'm not sure about season 1, but I know season 2 and 3, which are the past 2 seasons, he was top 8. I'm not sure about season 1, but yeah. I'm kind of curious. He's got to end up on a team. Where do you think he's going to go?
Well, on here it says Myonix. I don't know what the heck that is. It's a personal sponsor.
That was a team or a company that sponsored him to go to. There was an event a couple weeks ago, a month or so ago, back in Europe that sponsored him so he could make the trip.
Okay, well.
So yeah, I can't believe he's not on a team. I can't believe nobody's picked him up.
Righteous Down Gaming Naniwa, you heard it here first.
Yeah, good luck with that, man. No, and I mean that. Good luck with that. So do you want to go ahead and cover the rest of these, or you just kind of want to call it a show? We've got a handful of things here left, but we've still got 20 minutes.
We might as well cover them.
All
and
right.
If we run out of things after that, then sure. We'll
All
start
right.
with CreatorPrime winning TSL 4. Not a huge fan of watching TSL. I don't know. Just that production seems extremely boring to me. But I don't know if it's just me. And it's the same with NASL. It's just, I don't know. Maybe it's the casters. I know Day 9 and Husky did this one. I'm not a huge fan of Husky, but regardless, he did pretty good. Yep. CreatorPrime, although I don't know how well he does in GSL, but won with a 4-2 against Life. So
Creator is he's kind of he's kind of in and out of Code A. Code A, Code B. I have to look at the up and downs. I think he played in the up and downs this year, or this season. I won't say this year. I'm trying to see now. Yeah, he's going to be in Code A. He finished 3rd in his group in the up and downs.
Yeah, and he went 18-4 map score throughout the throughout TSL. So it
That's
was
an
a pretty
impressive.
dominating.
I say that's an impressive run. That's a very impressive run. That's not quite. I mean, honestly, in recent memory, and I know there's more impressive runs, but in recent memory, that's second to what Scarlet did in the WCS.
I remember Naniwa in his first MLG he only lost one game. Can't remember who he beat, but
Yeah. Yeah, that was before I actually followed Naniwa. So.
and actually, Creator won the WCS South Korea Nationals as well. Forgot to give him credit for that.
Yeah, but ironically, folks like MC, there was a few others, but MC was the one.
They weren't allowed in.
No, they forfeited, so they could go to another event.
That's right.
So they probably just looked at it as like, especially like MC, it's like, I don't need the money they're going to give me. I'm going to make more money at this other event, and
I don't need the money. I make about $500,000 a year.
right,
Just
yeah,
off tournament
whatever.
means it's okay.
Whatever. But the other one that we have left is Vines has left Empire. Now, Vines is a player that
is annoying and always goes into U.S. tournaments and dominates our players, like online tournaments. Yeah, I know Vines. No, he's a good guy. He was on OGS and
right, but I mean, he hasn't. Like I know you've had some run-ins with him. Your team's had some run-ins with him, but he hasn't done anything as far as like an MLG or anything like that. I mean, he's had a respectable career, but he's not done anything big lately. But I kind of wonder: is Empire dying? Is a Starcraft team?
I don't think so. When you get too many players, and I have the same mindset. I want to focus on the players who have done a lot for the organization, who are going to do a lot for the organization. Vines is relatively new to Empire. Not new, but relatively new in comparison to their other players. And you look at like Kaz, Beastie QT, and Happy. They're all players that were on Empire for a long time. And maybe, you don't hear a lot from Empire. They don't win a lot. They don't do a lot. So they probably just didn't have the money to keep paying all of these players. And they just picked the one player that they didn't necessarily need anymore. And unfortunately, Vines got. I don't know if it's unfortunate or fortunate that Vines got the short stick, but it happens.
Hey, RD Vines.
Yeah, RDG Vines. You heard it here first.
Right?
We're just gonna pick up all these players.
But no, I mean, I look at their roster, and I mean, their roster right now is 4 Terran, 1 Toss, and 1 Zerg. That's it. I mean, they lost Violet basically when he went to Korea. Between last GSL and this coming GSL, he picked up somebody else, and he's not. I think he's independent. He just has like an individual sponsor. He's not on a team, as far as I know. So I'm like, I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, as far as you know.
Right. And I did look earlier this week. When I say earlier, I know it's Tuesday, but I looked Sunday afternoon or yesterday. As far as I know, he's still not on a team. It's not been announced anywhere that I know of. He had that individual sponsor going into GSL. He made a video announcing it, but I'm kind of curious. Like, and I'm not like it's not like it's not like Slayers where the team has fans. I'm sure Empire has fans. I'm not saying that they don't. But it's not as big as somebody like Slayers or Prime or IM or EG losing some of their star players and coming down to where they've only got like 6 players and they're 4 of 1 race and that a lot of people say is imbalanced and really struggles to win. And then you've got 1 Protoss and 1 Zerg left.
And who I've never heard of. Well, I mean, they do a little bit in team leagues, but other than that, I've never seen them do anything.
Well, okay, so I've heard of I don't know if it's Brat OK or Brat OK. I've heard of him. Everybody's heard of Happy.
Right talk, yeah.
And Beastie QT I've kind of heard of, but it's been I'm watching like an Asus ROG in Europe, or I'm watching a game from DreamHack and he's there because it's relatively local because he's in Europe. That's where I've heard of him. I've not heard of him because of the results he's turned in. Or she. I really don't know. But again, and that's not a slight on that player. It's just I don't know the player. And this is the last player that they had outside of the mainly Happy really, but Happy's the only player left on their roster that I've heard of that has done anything as far as turning in results that I've seen. at least in North America. Maybe in Europe they're doing well. I mean, and honestly, Stephano was doing great in Europe, and most people who are esports fans in North America, unless they were watching those European events, probably didn't hear of him until he started winning MLG and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think the first time he got heard of was IPL, was it? That he destroyed people in?
IPL, I think so. I think that was the one that kind of...
I'm not even gonna lie. I was one of those people. I didn't know who Stephano was until he started competing actively in tournaments in the U.S.
Right. I remember him doing well in the tournament we talked about before, in the pre-show before we kicked the stream off. I remember he did well, if not winning, the Texas Lone Star Clash.
Yep, he won.
I thought he did win.
Yep, he did. He beat Polt 3-1.
That's right. So yeah, I mean, it's just kind of weird that some of the players, and maybe maybe one of these players from Empire is going to actually knock out something. Maybe they'll do well at the next DreamHack. We don't know. But it's just kind of weird to look at their roster and wonder how they're going to be able to stick around. But I don't know. We'll see. At least stick around at the same level they've been at for the past year that Violet was with them. 2 years maybe. I'm not sure how long Violet was with them. 2 years would put it right back to the beginning of Starcraft 2. I don't know if Violet was there at that time. But
Absolutely not.
Right. So that's pretty much it for everything that we've got in our show notes. And that actually brought us up to about 10 minutes short of an hour. So again, we will. Oh, now he's online. All right, we will cane him after the show. We'll add him to our call and we will beat him appropriately. Zoran was not here. So hopefully we didn't bore you too much with the conversation from a non-player perspective. Tyler, you got anything you want to shout out? Give contact info?
Well, same thing every week. I'd like to thank our sponsors. Of course, there's esportsnet.tv, the wonderful host of this show, and allow us to continue doing things like this. You got gaming jerseys and J-Huang Enterprises. And we'd like everyone to like our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/RighteousDawn. And you can get all your news updates there because we're updating our website. So, yeah, that's all for me.
And as far as I'm concerned, in eSportsNet, we got our Twitter handles here. You can follow us.
Mine's actually wrong, but
it is. Oh
okay.
Yours is Colgar MLG, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
But it's okay.
Yeah, we'll fix that
because I don't even use Twitter, so it's not a big deal.
All right. Well, I'll go smack our graphics person around. She's in the chat room, so.
She's in person.
She's actually she's like, ah, crap.
It's okay.
Yeah, I want to throw a shout out, back to Righteous Dawn Gaming. I wouldn't be able to do this show by myself, so having Tyler and I would say having Zoran here, but we'll say Doug this week. It's a fun time to do the show. What's episode 3 that we're doing now? We're still getting our feet under us, but I'm having a good time doing the show. Hopefully, everybody that's watching is having a good time watching. Wanted to give a shout or a kind of pimp giveaway we're giving. Go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/esportsnettv. Give us a like. Once we get to 100, we're going to give away a $20 gift card to jinx.com. And the way we're going to do that is we're just going to pick people who liked us, pick one at random, and you get the card. After we give that card away, I'm going to unplug my headset here. We'll have, we got a headset here. Anybody needs a headset? It's yours. Probably once we get to 200 headsets. Yeah, I know you need a headset, but no, you're not getting it, dude. But yeah, once we get to, I'm say maybe 200. We'll figure it out later. We'll give this headset away. Other things we can give away, whatever, whenever. Once we hit other
computers. I heard they really want to give away computers. So.
Hey, we get enough likes, we get enough traffic on our website. If we can give away computers, fuck yeah, I'll give away a computer. Why not? So yeah, spread the word, give it away. Give it away. Wow. I guess that's it for this week. So until next week, we'll see you next Tuesday, 9 o'clock Eastern, and hopefully we'll have our full cast here. So I guess we'll see you next week, guys.